Welcome back, friends. Welcome back to the homestead. I thought I'd do this kind of longer form video, just doing a garden tour. I know I do tour videos around the whole homestead, but I wanted to spend a bit more time just in the garden and let you know what's going on, what's gone wrong, what's gone right, how we do things, because there's a lot of new subscribers. Thank you very much for subscribing, who may not have seen previous videos or kind of know a bit about what goes on here in this garden. So we've got we built the garden 4.5 years ago. So this is kind of its 4th year of growing. Technically it's no dig. I mean, certainly they're permanent beds. We've never had a spade in here. Occasionally we've used a fork to get rid of some really big roots, and certainly when we do new beds. So it's grown that way, and it's grown a bit that way. I'll show you the highs and the lows, and we are hoping to expand it even more that way this year stroke next. So yeah, basically you've got very quickly overview, two 35 meter roothed out no dig potato beds. So potatoes under straw. We have some weed issues with that, and we tolerate the weeds here in this section more than here. We'll just go down with a strimmer and a couple of times a year. Doesn't really affect the potatoes. We have here 3 sections of vertical 10 meter long beds, 75 centimeter wide, all standard sizes, 30 centimeter walkways with wood chips in. And then we've got a few kind of horizontal beds up there, which help stop any water. We're on a slight slope here as we go down to the lake, and they kind of buffer any water that comes off the top of the field. They're a bit of a mess at the moment, as you see. So if you've not seen, also we've been away for a couple of weeks. We had to go away for a couple of weeks, which was great, but also it's sort of messed up the plan for this year. And it was difficult for me to get my head around stuff, so a lot of stuff isn't done. I'm saying the garden looks a bit bare. You know, possibly would argue against that, but certainly there would normally be a bit more stuff going on. So what the plan is to concentrate more on the second half of the year, do some later planting. We're going to redo this fence, going to have a proper deer fence around, so we can store more food inside and stop the animals pinching it. So what we've got going on, this would normally be cut flowers. We've got some chrysanthemums, I think they are, that have come up from last year, which is great. I've not had opportunity to do any other flowers this year because of being away. So we've got deal, first succession of deal, and we'll probably do a second succession over there. If you're not familiar with what goes on in Latvia, if you don't do deal in Latvia, you can't possibly live in Latvia. It's almost against the law not to eat and grow deal. Yeah, Latvians eat a lot of deal. So we do many successions because it's used like this as a kind of, a green herb, and then when it's dried you get the seeds and the stalks, and they're all used as well. We grow a lot of onions. We're fully sustainable, self-sustainable with onions, and I've enjoyed getting into onions over the last few years. So we grow from sets, Sikspoli, I think it is in Latvian. We grow those, red and white, and I grow some specialist varieties from seed, which obviously they're a lot smaller, but they will catch up. And we've got some big kind of exhibition global onions. We've got some shallots. We've got some Italian onions, and yeah, and each year I do more and different varieties. We've got some self-seeded lettuce. Now that's the first. I like to control everything. If you know me, I like everything neat and tidy, and in order, but they came up and we thought, well, let's just leave them. And now we've got some nice self-seeded. I didn't have to do anything. Got a beautiful salad selection. So yeah, we've got a lot of Rosso, some Pirat, some Paris Kos, some red Loloroso, some Tom Thumb, 4 different varieties of salad there, which is nice. What else can I say? As you can see, everything, like I've just indicated, is in nice neat rows, and the reason for doing that is, yeah, there's an aesthetic reason, but also a maintenance reason. So how do we deal with weeds? Well, we do have weeds. We've got lots of weeds, haven't we? I know some of you are thinking, I can't see any, but there are. And how we deal with them is kind of what I call pre-weeding. So we try to deal with the weeds before they become a weed problem. And these are pretty much the only 2 tools I use, other than when we have a real weed problem, when we have to use cultivator. But certainly, or hoe is the correct word. For maintenance, when there's something in the bed, we pretty much only use these 2. And I've got this one on the left. It's made from thick copper wire, attached, supported with 2 nails and just attached to a stick. Nothing special. This one is 9-inch nails which have been welded together to form a triangle shape, and it is actually on an interchangeable head. When we plant in 5 rows, we use this one. Let's get rid of that one. Goes nicely between the rows. In fact, maybe I can demo here where I've forgotten some. As you can see, it goes down the rows, just lifts the top kind of centimetre, half centimetre of soil, and just knocks out any weeds which may be present, small weeds, or about to germinate or have germinated but haven't sort of shown themselves. And that will do for a couple of weeks. And then the same with the triangle, the bigger triangle. You know, we can just do a wider area, that's all really. Kind of cabbages, those kind of things. So that does 12 centimetres and the other one is 7 centimetres. That's it. Keep it simple. So in terms of brassicas, we plant brassicas. There, basically I use the 3-row tool, but I don't plant anything in the middle, and then I do opposite. So 1, 2, 3, miss 1, plant 1, miss 1, plant 1, etc. And that gets the correct spacing of about 40, 50 centimetres, something like that. Not a lot of pressure in terms of pests at the moment, but we do suffer with these blue beetles, which I'm told are a type of flea beetle, but I'm not really sure. They take 1 or 2. The ants take 1 or 2. When they're very young, that's why you need really strong transplants, so that the ants can't, they bite through the stems. I don't know why they do it, but they do. So, you know, you have to expect to lose some plants in your garden. You can't expect all of them to survive. These aren't looking great, but they're kind of sacrificial. Chinese cabbage. Chinese cabbage season is really for later in the year. In fact, I've got some seedlings already on the go. These are really nice. It's a kale variety. I think it's a Tuscany kale. Get these nice long dark leaves. So we've got purple curly kale, green curly kale, broccoli, different cabbages, pointed cabbages, Savoy cabbage over there. Always doing experiments here. We've got rye. I've experimented with, that was planted last autumn. So it's a winter rye, it goes through the winter and then comes up. So hoping to make some rye bread with that. We've got, this would normally be parsnips, or has been parsnips. And I've let a couple go to seed. Parsnip seeds, if you don't know, you need kind of fresh ones every couple of years. They don't tend to last more than a year or two. Again, because of time and going away, we didn't have any opportunity to do parsnips this year, but we had a fantastic harvest last year. Just looking at our mole friend that has visited overnight. Moles are a pain, they're destructive, but they're an indication that if the moles are coming to your garden, then there's lots of good stuff for them to eat. So mostly worms and stuff, which is good. First time putting strawberries in here because we lost quite a few because of the late frost here. We've had a really difficult start to the year with very late frosts into June, and with the exception of today, because yesterday we had rain, before yesterday we had 13 millimetres of rain for the last 8 weeks, which had forced us to install a irrigation system, which I'll talk about in another video. So at least now we've got irrigation from the lake up to the garden. So that's a good, every year we've kind of tried to improve things, make things easier for us, and all about growing better quality, more nutritious food, really. Broad beans, or pig beans, tulkbulbus, as they are in Latvian, field beans maybe. Bit of experiment here. I've traditionally always grown them in 3 rows using the I use the 5-row tool, the marker. I have a marker tool which marks out the rows. I'll link to the video with all my tools on, and then we miss, we miss these 2. We miss the 2nd and 4th row. Always planting them in 3 rows. This year I thought, hey, why not do them a few in 4s to see whether they produce as much or whether it's affected, because if 4 rows work, hey, next year we'll plant them in 4 rows and we'll get 25% more crop. But always do an experiment to find out. And that's how we worked out how to do onions, how to do a lot of things. We just experimented with spacings. I never take any notice of what's written on the seed packet. I use a bit of research and common sense. Carrots, we've only just sown carrots. It's kind of quite late, but it's still okay. We keep our carrots. We don't really juice them. We store them all over winter. We've got here we've got oxella, which are very thick, stumpy. Well, they're about that big, but really thick carrot oxella. I had to get those seeds from Sweden. Here we've got pelleted seeds. If you know anything about carrot seeds, they're tiny. You have to spread thousands to get them, to get them all in, and then you have to pick them all clean and get the spacings right. So I got some pelleted seeds, tiny bit bigger, with an orange marker, and that allowed me to space them a few centimeters between each seed perfectly. And then here are traditional carrot seeds. So we'll see what happens there. If you don't know, you need to keep carrot beds wet all the time, really, or moist anyway. If they dry out, they won't germinate. So for at least for a week, it needs to be kept quite moist. Right, and then we get to, you can see here is a bed that I've had to rake over, hoe over, because it got really bad. This is kind of what it had looked like. A great example of what happens if you don't maintain beds. We had to go away, and we knew we wouldn't plant anything up here, so we hadn't maintained it. I've got a new tool on the way, which I'm really excited about. Should be able to pick up today or tomorrow, which is going to help with bed prep. It's kind of it's not a tiller, it's more of a tilver, so it just takes a few top centimeters of soil and should be able to really help speed up bed prep, which is one of the areas which is, I'm always looking for greater efficiency in doing stuff. So that should help with that. Peas, we've got some tall peas here, which are slowly growing up. We didn't have a great germination rate with those, disappointing, but never mind. And then what we do here is I will plant, at different timings, I will plant some peas. I think they've started to come up, actually. Yeah. There's some ants there. Ants are a big problem here. They like the sandy soil, but they don't seem to, with the exception of the brassicas, they don't really seem to affect anything. So we'll plant some successions every few weeks of peas here, every couple of weeks, and then we just pick those, and they're sugar pods. We enjoy those, and we enjoy the shoots as well. So this is what I call really weedy. You might just even say, well, that's not really much. Just try to keep the weeds on top of the weeds. Slowly we're working through them. As long as they don't really go to seed, it's not a huge problem. This will be, again, just been hoed over, just 2 or 3 centimeters. It looks a bit heat, but that's just the way it was. And then we'll rake it. Doesn't need a forking or anything like that, just a quick hoe is fine. And then we have this mess. Why is it a mess? Well, firstly, it was the last section. It's 4 sections to this garden, and they were built one after another, and it wasn't all done together. So it's the last section to be built. I think it was built a year later than the others, and it was built on what was a field. The other garden did end around here, so it's got a lot more weed seeds in it, and you can see they've just taken over. Pretty embarrassed about this really, but we'll get it sorted. We had hemp here and sunflowers, and other experiments, sorghum, grass, all the sort of things that we've not been able to grow this year because of time. And then we'll fence this off here. This will become a protected garden. You can see this field was ploughed in spring, only about a month ago really. Well, 6 weeks maybe, but it's already, you know, pretty weedy. Not much we can do about it. So what we'll probably do is, I think the plan is generally to tarp this off. So put a cover over it, kill the weeds off for a year, and the next year we'll be able to make the beds and plant into it. I've put a few sunflowers down there just for aesthetics, but in terms of growing food on it, not really sure what we'll do with it yet, but probably more food that is for keeping and storing and self-sustainability during the winter months. Yeah. So I've rambled on for what looks like a very long time. We've had a good look at the garden, what's going on here. Any questions, just leave them in the comments below. Happy to answer them. Comments. Thanks for watching. Thanks for sticking with us. I think we're around the 6K subscription mark, which is nice. And this, yeah, do leave comments below. We do appreciate them, your interactions, and enjoy talking to you all. Thanks for supporting us. Thanks for watching this long video. And I will see you in another video very soon. Bye for now.